Hello. Hi. Let me know when you can hear this. I'm going to wait a few minutes. Sometimes there's a delay. So, as you can see in my note, I'm unofficially starting the challenge today. Move my TV out of there. so, I'm unofficially starting the challenge today. Going to be just talking about how to make time, space for it, what kind of tools you might need, what it's going to look like. So that's what we're doing today. And then I'm going to throw in for everyone else some cards for September. So any if you just want to hear that part, I'm going to be sending out an email and then posting it. I did a recording on that already. So we'll just be here to answer questions about the challenge, discuss creating sacred time and space, and then talking about September's cards for the new moon. So I'm going to wait another minute or two and then we'll get going. And I know this might be an odd time of day for some of you. So if you can't make it, that's okay. I just had to work with what would work for me, unfortunately. Um, yeah, so 4 o'clock on these days was kind of the balance of what would work for me and what would work for most people. So hopefully it works out for most of you to be here and ask questions. If you can't be here and you just see the recording, go ahead and just ask questions anyway. And I'm going to be super active during this challenge in this group. So does so the challenge, I'll just start explaining it. You've probably heard me talk about it a lot, but it's 5 days. It's called Embody Your Dreams. And then we're going to be doing a lot of ritual based work to break past blocks, to break past anything that is getting in our way from fulfilling our dreams. So I kept getting these messages from clients, from other people on Instagram, of just, I know there's something else I should be doing. I just don't know what it is. And I could have like exactly said those words. So I thought, well, I probably need to be doing something about this. I've had this discomfort in this business, this work, um, for quite some time, the last few months, and I just knew that I wasn't quite doing exactly what I was supposed to do. I loved doing readings and I loved doing Reiki and I loved yoga, but I was starting to combine them in weird ways and good ways. So I just decided to embrace that instead of just categorizing everything in different things. So that's why if you have been with me for a while, you're going to be maybe confused and all that, but I'm trying my best to explain it as many times as I can so that it makes sense. So yeah, so I went on my own journey of like clarifying my vision, and that will happen. It's not like I'll go through this challenge in 5 days and then all of a sudden like I know what I'm supposed to do exactly, and then it changes like every few months, because the thing with life purpose is that it's not this like perfect thing outside of you. I kept searching for that. I was like, had these spreadsheets of these grad schools I should go to, these places I should live. Life purpose travels with you and exists as you exist. So as your values change, as you change, your life purpose changes. It's not one set in stone thing. And the thing I've learned, and yes, I've gotten so much clarity, and I did get a very direct answer of what my purpose is, and it's pretty much along this line. So the discomfort I had with my work, that will happen as you develop a life, like a main life purpose. But where was I going? But yes, so know that it will change. What this challenge teaches us is not to get one set in stone thing, except I hope that everyone gets that, because when I got that moment, I was so happy because I was searching for so long. But the point is not to get that necessarily. What the point is to start listening to yourself and to realize that you are your life purpose. And so I'm just going to give it away right now. but in order to get to that place, you have to invest in yourself. And so this challenge is definitely intense. Not that it's going to take a ton of time, but it's not for everyone. And it's not one of those things that you can just like quickly breeze through. If you worked with me before, you know that I do kind of deep stuff with people. Um, and what I expect for myself is so you don't have to commit like 3 hours in your morning or evening or whatever, but you have to commit some time. And so I've developed kind of something in my own life I thought might be helpful for you. And that is to develop failsafe. So before I had my son, I would wake up 4:30, not joking, 5 in the morning before I went to work. I had a day job for quite some time. Uh, that I hated, to be honest with you. But that'll come up a little bit more during this challenge. I'll discuss that. So I woke up because that time was so sacred to me. I like had to have it, or I felt like I would fall apart at my job. I felt like if I didn't do it, I my identity was completely stripped because I my job did not represent my identity at all. So all I had was this moment at 4:35 in the morning where I could do yoga, journal, drink coffee or tea, depending if I had quit coffee or not. um, and so I did that, and that worked fine. Usually, almost always, I did that. And then I had my son, and I was trying to cling on to that. And it just, of course, didn't work. Of course not. I thought it would. And so what I developed was that I check in the morning, during his nap, and in the evening. I don't always do something at each of those moments, and it doesn't always look the same. But I have what I call a fail safe. So if I don't get to spend time with myself in the morning because he woke up at 3, for instance, which happened this week, and I just have to make him breakfast and get going because I have to have some solitude. So even if I do have like a little practice with him, it's not the same. So then nap time comes around. He doesn't nap. Okay. So then that's 2 moments where I didn't have any time to myself. And so previously I would have just given up. I would have just been like, whatever, I'm not going to be doing this anymore. And feel really bad about myself because I didn't have any time to think and be in solitude. Be really resentful of my son too. That's happened. But then what I did was I then implemented evening. So I always, if I have I kind of have a practice, and you'll learn how to develop this practice in a way that inspires your dreaming and inspires your vision. And so I have like a kind of a core practice I float around with for at least a month. And so if I don't get to do that practice, morning, nap, evening, I will do it before I go to bed, no matter what. So I have a fail safe. And so I encourage you to pick a time that's like your number one favorite time. For me, that would be in the morning. If I had my dream life, I would wake up early and have just a beautiful long, like 2 hours long practice where I could like drink tea and think and write and just like be with myself for 2 or 3 hours and do yoga. That would be like my dream, right? But that like never it happened like a few times a few weeks ago. It was really fun and awesome, but rarely happens. So then nap time comes around. It's of course it's a different energy. I had just been like with the kid all day, and but I do have that moment, and I can do that. And then evening. So I have 3 touch points, and I do try to have self-care at each of those moments of my day, no matter what. But that kind of main practice. So right now for these 5 days, your main practice is this challenge. So devote 3 moments. I pick your ideal time, a second, and a third time. So, and something else you could do is pick in the morning, read over what the challenge is during, if you have a pretty free schedule and you don't think this will be an issue for you. In the afternoon, I can do the journaling part, and then in the evening, I can do more of the exercise ritual part. So that's something else you could do. So that is how to develop sacred time. That tends to be the hardest. And something to watch out for is resistance around this. If you're like purposely finding things to do. So let's say I wanted to work on a project for school, or I had to work on a project when I was in school. My house would get so clean. I would have like the cleanest house ever because I was avoiding this paper, even if it was like half a page. I just didn't want to do it. So I would clean like an entire house. So watch out for things like that. Watch out if you're avoiding. So that's another way this failsafe works. If you have like 3 moments, you can't, if the morning doesn't feel good, the afternoon doesn't feel good, evening has to feel good because you already committed to these 5 days. So, and if I say it would take like 30 minutes. So if you don't have 30 minutes to spend on yourself during the day, then there's something wrong. Honestly, I'm gonna just say it, and you're gonna hear me say this a few times. There's something seriously wrong. And you need to examine why you don't have 30 minutes to spend on yourself to something you feel committed to. So that's not to guilt you. It's just to maybe question, why is it that you don't have 30 minutes? And there's been moments where I did not have 30 minutes. And the reason was because I wasn't allowing myself to have those. I kept putting busyness in front of myself. So that is, some tough love there. As far as space goes, I talked about this in the email today. So some of us are gonna have to be really lucky and have like a beautiful like altar and a room to do all this work in. A lot of the work in this challenge is about writing and doing simple things like that. So you aren't going to need all of that stuff. And I when we talk more about how to develop a practice, you're going to see that your practice will shift. And sometimes you won't even want that kind of space. It just doesn't won't make sense. So embrace that if you don't have a space, embrace it and see what you can do otherwise. So for me, I used to have this room. I used to have a whole room dedicated to yoga, to an altar. It was like a giant altar facing a giant window. Um, and that was awesome. But I moved into a smaller house, and so now I don't have that. And so I have like a little altar on top of my dresser because I feel like called to have one right now. But I have set up like a ritual space outside many times. Sometimes it's at my kitchen table. I'm in my living room right now. So this just doesn't have to be what you see on Instagram. So if you're new to practicing this way, don't get disheartened when you don't have all the candles and crystals and start spending money on things like that. The only thing I would like you to spend money on is a journal and a pen. So even if you have like I've used those like 98-cent composition books for a lot of years. I did that because I wrote so much. I needed just a ton of them. So I did that. But if you can go buy something that you're like inspired to write in. So that's the only thing like you have to have for this. There are certain rituals that you can use tarot cards. Index cards are something that would be nice to have for this, for a few different of the things we're doing. And so that is that. Creating space, creating time. Don't make it overly complicated, but definitely commit to it. Because if you don't commit to it, then it'll just be another thing you don't commit to, and that is not going to feel good to you. So if you already committed to, if you signed up for this challenge, then I urge you that you can make this. If you're having trouble with that, I feel free to reach out, and I'm happy to just message me. Feel free to reach out and tell me if how we can like figure that out together, how to make time and space for it. So yes, let's see what else. I will be going live most of the time around this time. On Wednesday, I will do it during the day. And yeah, I think that's the only day that it will be a little earlier. But what you'll do is I have the email set up to come to your email at 4 in the morning. If you do not receive them or you sign up for the email late and message me, you should have already gotten an email today. If you did not, message me and I will make sure you get it. If you don't get an email with everything, then let me know. The email is going to contain instructions, a worksheet, an audio guide for the ritual, and that's would be pretty helpful to have. Eventually, I think I'm going to upload them into this group, but not really sure when that will happen. So if you're trying to follow along with what we're doing right now, go ahead and sign up for the email list. I will put a link in the comments. I forgot to do that, but go ahead and sign up for the email list. And if I will open it up for questions for a few minutes, otherwise this is quiet. I thought this would be an odd time, and it is, but I have to work with what's possible for me. If you guys can comment on a better time for you, if that is, let me know. It's hard for me to do it at night. Like I said, I don't want to go all the way to my office at like 9 o'clock at night because it's pretty far from my house. So I'm trying to do these from home. But if there's a better time for you guys, just comment below and I'll try to adjust if it's possible. But so let's get right into September's new moon reading. And as you have questions, if you're seeing this, go ahead and check in. But I haven't done one of these in a while, and so I'm doing it a little differently. I pulled a chakra card for the month. I pulled a word from an oracle deck, and I pulled a tarot card. And I already pulled these because I did an audio recording, like I said, and that will go out to the email list, the main email list, and it will go out I'll put it on Instagram. I'll link it up there. So let's start. This is so perfect. So I picked the sacral chakra for September, and that just goes so well with the work we are doing right now. Um, because the sacral chakra, if you don't know what those are, research me. I'll give you a detailed explanation, or ask in the group. There's plenty of people that understand them. But if you want to think of it simply, it's an energy center in your body that you can focus certain things like live there, energetic things live there. Um, they're embodied there, using that word we love here. So the sacral chakra, creativity is embodied there, freedom, also that gut feeling you get, like butterflies in your stomach when something is exciting, fear expressed there a lot of times. Um, it's water, it's the flow of life, it's the flow in and out, the contraction and the expansion. So there's parts of the river that are small, parts that are really wide and big. And something I was really visualizing when I did the recording, and you'll hear this again, is that and is that I really imagine that river being frozen. And so with this challenge of us, even if you're in the challenge or not, the challenge for us this month is to break past those ice chunks and let the river is flowing below that ice. So we just don't see it. So you think that something, that kind of nagging something that you're supposed to be doing is under there. It's under that frozen ice. It's just blocked. And so your job is to keep investigating and keep breaking those things down, so that eventually you're going to feel that rushing of the water and that freedom that is really already in you. So the difference, I think, would be like, oh, this river's frozen, and keep moving until you find one that isn't. So instead of doing that, go ahead and break the ice and feel the water that's already in the river that is your river. So hopefully that's not too obscure, but that is the work of this, is just becoming liberated, free. We've come out of a rough few months feeling stuck and unclear. I know I was, and then suddenly like, oh, I get it, So I don't know if anyone else has felt like that. That'd be great. If I would love to hear from you, but it was just so clear all of a sudden for me. And so, and this is kind of the word I picked for the month is from the Vessel Oracle. Move on. I'll post pictures of these too. So I really like how she's dusting. It looks like she's like blowing dust. And to get the wheel, I imagine like the Wheel of Fortune. You can even imagine that show if you want. So like imagine it's like really stuck and there's a lot of things in the way, and she's blowing the things that just don't work. And so I felt like it's almost kind of energetically like things are just being blown out of the way, so that we have space now to think again, for things to be unfrozen, to start turning again. And so moving on from not trying to hang on to those things that are going away. So there might be some discomfort. There might be some things that are floating away from your life that you're like, wait, you're trying to grasp onto it. What happens if you let it go? And what happens if you allow it to bring you new life? So don't grasp onto the things that are flying away out of your life. Let them go, move on, and you will become unfrozen. You will become clear, guaranteed. Because that's the way the world works, is when you start gripping onto things too hard, then you just get more and more frozen, more and more stuck, and it just doesn't work for our benefit. And so the last card, I'm going to show you something. This is my tea mug that I happen to pick, which I never drink out of this, but it's just funny. And I pulled this card a lot for myself too. So it's the Six of Wands in the Wild Unknown. And I just love it. That's how this month feels to me. It's like all that stuck crap things being thrown at us are just kind of like we're rising above them. And things are, if we allow it, we have to allow ourselves to be free, and we have to allow ourselves to move on, and we have to allow it. And so there is this opportunity this month, and I say opportunity because we always have a choice, right? There's an opportunity to rise above all this stuff that has been holding us down. So it's up to you. Do you want to stay down here? or do you want to rise above it? So that is a challenge for this month, is to rise above, to move on, to allow freedom, to allow expansion, to I'm really getting the word deserve, to allow to remind yourself that you deserve this. It's going to be pretty, I feel like I feel really positive about this month, but you have to allow it. You have to allow it. It's always a choice. And so that is that. If you have any questions regarding this reading, regarding the challenge, regarding working with me one on one, let me know. You can message me directly. You can comment. If you have a question that might benefit other people, go ahead and comment. If you are just worried about yourself and worried about um, something kind of personal, feel free to message me. If you want to be involved in the challenge, you haven't signed up yet, go ahead and click the link below. I will resend the email that I send out already to anyone who's unopened it. So that is another fair warning. If you have already joined the challenge, you might see the email pop up again, and that's because like more than 5 people have said they didn't receive it, and so I'm just making sure that it gets resent. So that is the challenge. That is September. I feel really good about this month. I feel really good about this challenge. I feel so clear. Like I said, I was really stuck in what I was supposed to be doing with this work, and it just like hit me. And I allowed it. And so that's why I feel like things are coming so clearly for me. I hope that for you too. So thank you again, and let me know if you have any questions. See you tomorrow no, not tomorrow, sorry. See you Monday at 4 for the first day of the challenge, which is, we're going to get right into it. So we're probably going to do a little more emotional support that day. And I'm not sure how it's going to go. I'm going to talk, open up for questions. I'll have my cards. I'll do some Reiki. Um, we'll just, I don't have these lives planned really. I'm just kind of opening to what people need. So see you on Monday. Bye.